Evening, and welcome to Concordia On Air.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Jackson.
And tonight,
in news, recent trends in gardening.
And in more news, have you filed your taxes?
and an interview about the upcoming Concordia Theater production of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
All that and more on Concordia On Air.
Hey, what's up? We're back. And by we, I mean it's me and Jackson, because something happened to Mikey.
He was
God,
kidnapped.
if I know. I think he's being experimented on or something.
He was kidnapped by bioterrorists.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, well, I'm sure we'll hear more about it when he's back next week. Jackson, you look really upset.
I am.
Can you please elaborate as to why?
Well, you see,
Concerning me.
all day I didn't look like I was selling tractor parts. I looked like I was going to teach you English, or as some people put it, a lumberjack on his day off. But my sweatshirt was apparently too green. My sweater was too green for the green screen. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, there's no green screen. They were saying, Jackson, your sweater's blending into the green screen. And I'm like, we're just standing in front of the window to Roku City. There's no green screen. I'm just like, I don't know. So now I feel like I'm being gaslit.
I look like I'm visiting my hometown of Smallville, Kansas.
How is things in Smallville these days?
It was the anniversary of my parents' fateful trip to IHOP yesterday.
Oh, well, I remember you telling me details about that fateful trip, and oh, that was a fateful one. That was sure a fateful trip.
There's a memorial of Superman in Metropolis, but there's no memorial of my family that went to IHOP that Superman destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
When him and General Zod crashed into it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on the news. I was making like peanut butter toast or something, and I turned on the news because I wanted to catch up and see, the news. And then I saw that stuff, and then I saw you up on there, and I was like, that's my boy Jackson.
I was on my way to IHOP. I was not making a peanut butter sandwich. I was on my way to IHOP.
I didn't really ask you that one, so that's okay. Anyways, anything fun you have planned for this weekend?
I'm going back to Smallville.
What are you going to do in Smallville?
Mourn.
IHOP? Hopefully not IHOP, am I right? Don't go back there. I wouldn't if I were you. Speaking of IHOP, the last time I went to Perkins, oh my gosh, it was so fun. That's kind of the end of the story. I was hoping that something would come from that. I've been to Perkins quite a few times, but I'm only remembering one very neutral incident right now. So are you a Perkins guy? No, you're not an IHOP guy, so.
Back when I ate meat, they had a pretty good breakfast burger.
They also have the
cheeseburger
the
with
Hungry Man's
egg.
Combo, which is just a bunch of meat on a plate, and I think that's really funny. So, are you a Perkins, or are you a Denny's, or are you a? I liked Kroll's. I used to go to Kroll's all the time, but now they're not 24 hours, and they gave me and my friends COVID, so I kind of haven't gone back since. But
controversial.
I'm sorry, Kroll's.
Controversial hot take. I don't eat breakfast. I only eat lunch and dinner.
Not even like during regular food hours, like not even past noon. Not even you wouldn't even do like a breakfast for dinner situation.
The only like chain sit-down restaurant I go to that's like considered like semi-nice is Applebee's.
Yeah,
Big on Applebee's.
See, I prefer Chili's because I love going to the Chili's in the mall and then going to Claire's afterwards. Now that is a fun evening, I will say. You like Claire's?
Never been.
Oh my gosh, Jackson, I should take you to Claire's. You can get your ears pierced. We can get like little friendship necklaces. That's like, one is like a little like soda pop, and one is like a little basket of fries, and it says best friends, and you have one and then I have one.
No.
Okay. Well, I certainly thought that would work, but it didn't. So I guess we're gonna have to do something else at the mall.
We're gonna have to do something.
We're gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
What should we do?
I don't know. Why don't we cut to news and we'll think about it. We'll get back.
Thank you, Jackson. Welcome to our news. My name is Andy.
And I'm Elise. At the moment, Dollar General has been labeled a severe violator of safety rules in the workplace by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. According to CNBC, a Dollar General spokesperson told them that they often review and refine their various programs in place to ensure safety for workers and try to reinforce their rules during their training sessions and through communication. Currently, the company is being accused of exposing workers to various hazards in the workplace. According to OSHA, since 2017, the company has had nearly 100 different workplace safety violations, and throughout their inspections, they found blocked fire exits and large unbound stacks of merchandise.
As taxation deadline looms closer, international students at Concordia are turning to SprintTax to help with filing their taxes. SprintTax is a popular tax preparation software specifically designed for non-US citizens who are studying or working in the States. With the deadline set for April 18, students are scrambling to file their taxes on time. For many international students, tax filing can be a daunting task, as the US tax system is quite different from what they are used to in their home countries. And I quote, I was really nervous about filing my taxes for the first time in the US, said Alicia Stogba, an international student from Liberia, adding that SprintTax made it easier or much easier for her as she had to just answer a few questions and the software did the rest.
As the weather hopefully starts getting nicer, people are looking to start getting outdoors and start planting in their gardens. But instead of putting their seeds in the ground, it's become a popular trend for people to start using raised beds. Gardens have you bending over in the hot sun for hours to weed, so it's not surprising that these new raised beds are becoming more common. Many people in Minnesota and North Dakota area are planning on using this method in spring and summer, as the raised beds are easy to make and fully customizable depending on how you want your DIY experience.
And for the second time, the North Dakota Senate has turned down a bill that would have provided free school meals for some kids by a vote of 27 to 20, KVVR reported. On Monday, the measure failed to the Senate by just one vote. Supporters said they are heartbroken for the kids across North Dakota, as there was much bipartisan support leading up to Monday's vote. Reacting to the situation outcome, the Democratic Representative Lori Beth said, and I quote, I guess the other big thing I was always wanted to emphasize is that a hungry child is not a child that learns in the classroom, end of quote. The House bill would have given cost-free lunches to students at or below 200% at the federal poverty level.
Matt Higgins, investor and CEO of RSE Ventures, constructed an article on CNBC outlining the top traits that he repeatedly sees in the workplace and tries to avoid. A few of them listed are gaslighters, withholders, and victims. He states that the key is to learn how to identify them early on, but this can be challenging, thus creating the purpose for his article. On each of the different sections, he offers advice on how to handle them, which can be great for college students that are interested in finding work soon for the summer.
And on to our last bulletin for the night. On Wednesday, the Vatican announced that Pope Francis would be hospitalized for a respiratory infection, which has raised concerns about the health of the 86-year-old pontiff. Following his weekly general audience in St. Peter's Square, he was taken to the hospital for test and treatment and is expected to stay there for several days. The Vatican clarified that the visit and test had been scheduled or had been planned beforehand. In response to this news, bishops in the churches across Italy are praying for the Pope's quick recovery, as expressed by the presidency of the Italian Episcopal Conference on behalf of the Italian bishops in a statement released on Wednesday. And now into an interview about the Midsummer production.
While Jackson stands over there pacing back and forth, trying to figure out what the heck we're going to do at the mall later, I'm going to have a chance to talk to my friends. Hey, how's it going, Megan and Haley?
Really good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really happy that you guys are here to talk about the upcoming show, A Midsummer Night's Dream, written by Mr. William Shakespeare. So far, you've rehearsed for how many weeks? When did you begin the process for this?
I don't know, like February, early February.
Okay, so it's been a little while, and you have performances coming up towards the end of April. So Megan, as someone who is acting in the show, can you tell me a little bit about what the story of A Midsummer Night's Dream is? What should audience members expect to be learning about the story?
Yeah, so basically we have like 3 different groups of characters that have their own storylines that all come together at the end. We have these 4 lovers who all are fighting over who gets who. We have this group of these little players who are trying to put on a show for the Duke and Duchess who are about to get married. And then we have the fairies who the King and Queen Fairy are fighting. And
tea.
Yeah, the tea. And then they're trying to all get together and have a happy ending.
How fun. So which character do you play in this show?
I play Helena. And she's crazy, all right. She is crazy.
She's a gem, yeah.
That's lots of fun. All right, and Haley, how are you involved in this production right now?
Well, I am the assistant director, so basically I just get to work hand in hand with David Winterstein, our director, and so I get to, take notes, maybe give my opinions on things, and just kind of help collaboratively with creating the show and making sure that the actors look really good on stage.
So one thing about Midsummer is this is by far not the first time this production has been put on. Probably not the first time this has been put on at Concordia either. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming it's a Shakespeare. There's a very good chance that it's been done here before. It's a very, very popular, well-known show. So what are some challenges that you, from a directorial standpoint, have faced in terms of making this show your own rather than just having it be a copy and pasted version of what the show's been like before?
God, that's really tough because, like you say, it is a very well-known show. I don't know if Concordia has done it before, but I mean, every 4 years we usually do a Shakespeare. Every college known to man has done a Shakespeare. Even NDSU right now is doing 12th Night. I think that right now we're really playing to the strengths of the actors. I feel like we've tried doing it, okay, let's do a boom, 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 but then we're like, oh, Megan can do a cartwheel, let's add a cartwheel in.
Is this a spoiler about the show, or is that just
You're gonna have to come and see.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's the thing I was wondering, because it is such a classic show, and there is definitely a way to do it, and then there are probably ways not to do it that other people have, because there's always an experimental theater who will be like, let's put them in this situation. But it seems like you guys are taking more of a classic approach with it, correct?
Yeah, I think that although there's a lot of current productions that are probably trying to mix modern and the original text, I think that we're trying to stay really close to the original version that Shakespeare himself wrote. David took the first folio from Shakespeare, so we're trying to keep very close to the script and what it originally intended for. But of course, in the modern age, you can't stay fully to the Shakespearean experience. So I think that we're sort of mixing both, but trying to stay true to the story.
Yes.
So yeah, one thing about Shakespeare is he writes in Shakespearean. As someone who has had to read the script and learn these lines, what are some challenges with this Shakespearean English that you've come across?
I think the biggest challenge has been making sense of every line or every monologue, because everything has its own meaning that doesn't look like what it means. Like, I'll have some idea of what a line means in my head, so I go do it, and then David's like, no, Megan, that's not what that actually means.
So creative.
Yeah, it's a completely different language. So I think that's been the hardest part, especially when it comes to memorizing, because you have to make that idea of like, what does this line mean, and what's the point that I'm trying to make? But when you have no idea what the point is in the first place, it's hard to get that down.
I mean, it seems like there's really a fluency that you have to develop.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I'm sure actors who have been doing Shakespeare their whole lives have developed that. But for us, I mean, I know this is your first year being involved with Concordia Theater.
Yes.
This is your second production of the year, correct? You were involved in Love, Loss, and What I Wore.
Yes.
And now you're in Midsummer, and you were involved in War of the Worlds earlier as, what was your position with that show?
Stage manager.
Stage manager,
Yeah.
love it. So you guys both have done some things so far this year, but this seems a little different. For audience members who are coming, what are some particular highlights within the show or highlights within the script that you want people to be on the lookout for, either for both of you?
Well, besides Megan's maybe cartwheel, I think that
Megan does a cartwheel, not clickbait.
I think that the Rustics are really a unique bunch of just crazy kids that I think that every time that we've run one of their scenes, it has been a completely different version.
Yes.
So I think that the audience will really get a hoot out of the Rustics. If you're watching earlier, Mr. Jackson Millette, who is still pondering the whole breakfast thing. He's really
back and forth.
he's really struggling,
He's really
but
pacing you guys. Wait, no, Kevin just walked in. Kevin Bacon's here now, so he has someone to talk with. Okay.
good, but he's in it, so yeah, there'll be a lot of familiar faces.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to come and chat with us about the show. For those of you who want to come and see it, which you should certainly come and see it. It opens on April 20th, and where can people find tickets?
At the Concordia Theater website. So you can just look up Concordia College Theater, and it'll be right in that page.
Or their bio on Instagram.
That too.
At Cord Theater on Instagram. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon, your busy schedule with rehearsing and whatnot, to come and chat with me. All right, and now we're going to head over to watch a package about pollinator gardens.
You know, the process I found, I tried to use seeds first, and they didn't really grow up well because it's a small space. So then I bought these little plugs that you can get from companies that provide them, and just planted the plugs. Took out the grass first, put the plugs in, didn't have to amend the soil or anything, and then just kept some of the big weeds at bay and let it grow. Some other prairie plants we have called a cup plant. Every year at this time, the goldfinches will come and they'll sit on there and pick out the seeds and eat them. So there's a few weeks where the goldfinches are all on there eating the seeds. And so kind of can see how different birds and animals and insects make use of them at different types. So that's really why, it's just to create an environment that's more friendly to the other living things that are around us.
Residents like Ken have noticed the benefit of increased wildlife diversity upon establishing these gardens.
Yeah, so it's been great to see bees. My colleague Brian Bishop always tells me about bees.
Talked about some.
Yeah, you actually caught me singing I'm Alright by Kenny Loggins, which was a little embarrassing, because I've had that song stuck in my head all day long. Anyways, how are you?
Pretty good. As mentioned, I'm a part of the Midsummer Night's Dream cast, but I would like to share that this is not the first time I've been attached to a Midsummer project.
Elaborate.
Way back in the year 2018, I auditioned for a role in the hit film Midsummer,
Did you get it?
directed by Ari Aster.
How'd it go?
I was a second choice. It was a second choice.
Oh.
Second choice.
To
Florence Pugh beat me out, though.
Wow.
I
Maybe
was
that
not
happens.
considered for the role of Danny in the end.
Okay, can you do the Florence Pugh cry face?
No, I had a completely different take.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, I suppose, because you're not
Gonna be like,
Florence Pugh.
I was gonna be like,
That would have been really good. That would have been really different. Oh, wow. I would have loved it. Probably, maybe.
all right.
That's really great.
Nice moment of levity before we jump in.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some heavy stuff.
Jonathan Majors.
Oh, yikes. Yikes. How are we supposed to respond? So, for context, Mr. Majors has been under fire recently for some alleged assault. And we always hate to hear that because assault sucks, and that's not good at all. And this guy might have done it. So we're at the point where we don't know if he has for sure, and so
And
what do we do?
You may be wondering, well, it's pretty simple. Wait until the judge and jury decide. Well, what if I told you in the time that he has been arrested, there have been some again, take this all with a grain of salt, because it is Twitter, and Twitter nowadays is no longer the hub
Twitter's
of
not a
information it
platform
used to
anymore.
be. But a couple people on Twitter that went to Yale with him and have known him from the theater community in New York have said this isn't a shock. He's kind of manipulative,
Yeah, I
has
think
sociopathic
even
tendencies.
some people who were on set with him for
Yeah.
something in the past also had
And
said something like that as well. They weren't surprised.
A couple months ago, there was a tweet saying there's an actor that's really hot in Hollywood right now that Twitter and everybody else really loves, but they're a sociopath and shouldn't be trusted. And somebody recently asked that person if that person was Jonathan Majors, and they responded with a cryptic but very knowing ding, ding, ding.
Oh, jeez.
So Jonathan Majors is, yeah.
Oh, dear. So trial's happening beginning of May, I think I heard.
Yes,
So we've still
he
got a little
was-
while, but that's also quite soon, considering
Yes.
that this happened very recently.
And
That's
in
only
New
a
York.
month or so away. Yeah, that's
New York City is notorious for having very slow turning wheels of justice, and they typically avoid charges unless they're.
Are we for certain it was May 2023? I'm assuming it was. I don't think
believe
it was.
so,
I don't know. I
but
only saw May, so.
He was arraigned on Sunday and officially charged over the weekend. And
Johnny boy.
normally, New York DA, they avoid charges unless they're like, oh, this is an actual case. They might approach him with a plea deal. And there is also, there should be noted, a lot of money involved here.
In many ways.
This is unfortunately a case where it's not going to be the one person held accountable. There might be people in Hollywood that are like, we have invested lots of money into this guy, and potentially the largest franchise currently
That
taking the
rhymes
world.
with Marvel.
Yes.
Can't say it on air, though.
They may or may not, if there is any. What I'm saying is if there is a trial and he is found innocent, depending on the circumstances behind that, there will always be doubt that a certain multi-billion-dollar company may or may not have had a hand. And basically, either way, unfortunately for him, if he is actually innocent, but it's not looking like that, there's no way that Jonathan Majors bounces back from this. If he's found innocent, people are going to have doubts simply because of those tweets, simply because of the money at play here.
Well, people are saying, well, if he's innocent, he should just sue his girlfriend, and that'll fix everything. I'm like,
That
well,
won't.
no, it won't.
No, that looks actually bad
Yeah.
if you do that. Because, especially if you're claiming she had a mental breakdown and you're like, I'm gonna sue you.
Yikes. Well, he's got currently, I think it was charged with 5 different things.
Yes.
There was 1 violation and a
3
whole bunch of
counts of
different
assault.
misdemeanors
And-
from all sorts of
yes.
areas. But
So
it's serious.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
And we obviously can't let the whole Marvel thing go unnoticed because it's very easy to drop him from upcoming projects. There is a Spike Lee film that is likely either they're going to pull the plug altogether or just recast, which he was set
Have
to
they
be the
started
lead.
production on that one?
No, Spike Lee was only circling, so it's very easy to just pull the plug on that. He has an upcoming film in December, Magazine Dreams, which was picked up by Fox's, Fox and Disney's, like their awards company. They're more like premiere label. They picked that up, and that was seen as a potential Oscar hopeful.
Oh,
but
was
if
that the Sundance
Yes,
one? Yeah.
Sundance kind of darling. But I think that any steam that movie had is out the window. But that's not Disney's only investment. He is supposed to be the next major villain for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And like major too.
Yes. There's
like,
a film
he's the
named
guy.
after his character. Spoiler alert for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. There is a post-credit scene that shows literally thousands of versions of this guy.
Wow. It's a lot. See, if it was one, maybe they could
yeah.
edit it out in post. But
They-
if they got thousands of him,
They painted
yikes.
themselves
It's
into
gonna
a corner.
It's going to be a lot of work.
And the question is raised, how does Marvel continue with a situation like
Yeah,
this?
what did they do? Well, you had a really grand idea on how to
Yes.
replace this guy if the charges, if he is
Yes.
guilty.
Kang the Conqueror, he's a time traveler, right? But it's really weird that of all these, this guy that's supposed to be across so many timelines, he's just the same age. He's Jonathan Majors' age whenever, what if there was a Kang that was more experienced than the rest? He's like, I'm better than all of you. What if that guy was played by Denzel Washington?
Denzel
And
Washington.
he was like, I am the most experienced Kang because I've actually lived past the age of 40, unlike all of you fools. And he's just like, I'm going to laser all of you. Boom.
And then
You've gotten rid of Jonathan
got it.
Majors, and now you've got Denzel Washington.
Listen, Jackson, would you ever consider writing for Marvel, or is that below you?
It doesn't sound
'Cause
very
I think
fun.
you got some great ideas.
It doesn't sound very fun. I'd have to have my name attached to something that I was like, here's this idea. And then they're like, okay,
The idea
we're going to
was
give you credit for this.
40-year-old Kang.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah. Well,
the 40-year-old Kang. It's actually the sequel to the 40-year-old
Oh my gosh,
version.
it's actually a parody. They take every shot for shot, but it's
Yep.
just with Denzel Washington.
Yes.
I would watch that. I was actually watching Fences last night. I got halfway through it, and then I said, "This is too emotional for me to be watching at 2 a.m." So I turned it off. But I'm going to finish that now, actually, once I get home, because you've inspired me, and I also have to watch it for class. So, but geez,
also-
he's great. He's great. I love Denzel Washington.
And to pivot, Film Twitter did turn against a certain son of Denzel Washington's after Jonathan Majors came to the scene. I understand that you might not like John David Washington because he's a nepotism baby.
See, and I don't know who that is.
He's Denzel Washington's son.
Oh, I assumed.
Great actor, star of the not-so-great Christopher Nolan movie Tenet. He was also in Malcolm and Marie with Zendaya, directed by Euphoria creator Sam Levinson.
That's a thing?
Yes.
Is it out?
Yes, it was on Netflix 2 years ago.
Oh, I've never. That sounds good.
But-
I want to watch it. Didn't know that was a
But
thing.
if you are like, oh no, how do I support actors that deserve it? Maybe John David Washington should be revisited. There was a lot of people that were very mean to him when Jonathan Majors came to the play. They were like, this guy's an actual good actor, unlike nepotism boy. But
Unlike
John
him.
David Washington, he can't help it who his parents are.
What can you do? And if
Sorry.
you want to come and support a non-problematic actor, you can come see Jackson in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes, and also watch Malcolm and Marie on Netflix. But don't support Sam Levinson. Evil person.
Not after that one movie. Is that one coming out anymore?
Yes, but
Ugh.
he's an evil person.
Yikes.
He's an evil nepotism baby.
Yikes. Well, you heard
Evil.
it here first, folks. Nepotism still sucks. But I guess we'll see you
Unless
next
you're
week.
Colin Hanks or John David Washington.
Or Maya Lisney as well. Have we talked about how I'm a Concordia on Air nepotism
She's a
baby?
nepotism baby.
We'll talk about that next week. Anyways, see ya.